Okay guys, so just one more demonstration of the control you can get from that rabbit trap position. Obviously we said right at the start, if their leg's free to move and heist up and move around, we can follow them or we can block them with that leg extension. Once we're controlling with the rabbit trap, we can attack those leg locks we just looked at. But we can also use it to come up, control their wrist or their head with a collar tie to be able to come and reverse the position, get on top and actually get into a couple of other good positions as well. So I'll get Jace just to move over the other side again, please. And we're here. We start off. I knock him down. Get the position, good position, extend our leg. And again, from here straight away, he goes to try and get up on top. I'm going to extend my leg, make sure he can't. I'm going to try and catch that rabbit trap with my legs with that scissoring motion at the back. So from here now, if I feel like I'm going for a leg attack and he's just too far away or I feel I can't get that, I'm going to then go and look to attack the upper body. So from here, it'll depend on what's closer, whether it's his wrist or his head. But from here, I want to try and move forwards. And now I can either come and claim a wrist with my top hand. I can move up, heist up, claim a wrist again. Or if I go to get it and his hand pulls away, to avoid it, I'm going to come up and I'm going to grab a collar tie. Okay, so any one of those options, again, it's going to depend on the situation, but they're all very, very good. If I get that now, I've got good options then to follow up. So if I do grab a collar tie, if I get close enough to do that, I can build up. That's really important with this. I don't square my hips up towards him here. I'm going to grab his head and I'm going to come up hip first. So I'm perpendicular to him here. Okay, so once I get into this position, nice and high from here, you can build all the way up. And now I can look to find an underhook, dig through, and then cut through with a knee cut pass. That's always a nice finish to get through from there. He's up again. Tip and turn again. Catch that far foot. He's moving around. I'm just going to stabilise him. Again, if he tries to pull away, I pinch on the rabbit trap. If he tries to drive in towards me, I extend my leg, move my body back. I can be looking to try and catch this high foot, to look at that leg attacks that we looked at, or look to come up underneath. But for now, if he's in a position he's stable, I'm going to try and get on top. Okay, so when I do, I can bring my hand through. As we said, I can come and reach with this bottom one. If I can hold this and Jace tries to pull back, again, I can really use the power of my back here to pull my body back. So if he gets here and gets strong, I can pull back and then I can come up this way. But more often than not, I'll come up and I'll heist up this way. I've still got a good pinch on his legs. So by the time I let go of this hand, the rabbit trap's holding his hips in place so that I can come up and commit over here. Once we get here, whether it's the wrist or whether it's the head as we talked about before, if he moves his body back a bit here now, rather than going and cutting through, I'm in a good spot. I can bring that top leg out, come through and build straight into a saddle position, or I can go and attack his legs. Or we can look at attacking his upper body. So again, I catch the position, control the position, extending my leg, back heeling my leg, lifting the leg up to attack, lifting my hips up to attack, coming through, grabbing and pulling. If I can't get that, heisting up. As we said before, if I come up high this time and I get to this position, once I'm here, if I come up and I get high and I feel for whatever reason, whether I want to attack his upper body, a great attack to do is a rolling Kimura. His hand's already there. I've got a strong control on his head so he can't really pull his arm back from here because I'm pulling him forwards. I come and catch the wrist and now I can move through, come out the other side and get on a Kimura style attack. So again, that sort of wraps up that series. If we do manage to knock our opponent over onto a hip, which we can do, a lot of the time, as we said, make them feel like they're on ice by sliding that foot forward powerfully, knock them over to a hip. Some good ways of controlling there, some good ways of attacking the lower body, attacking to get up on top, to pass and get control, attacking the saddle, or even attacking for Kimuras. Okay guys, just wanted to have a really quick little video here just looking at maintaining and transitioning through those ideas from the side emu position. So again, if Jace is here, we'll get him out this side for this one. So if we do manage to knock our opponent down to a hip, we talked about once I do this, I can maintain control of my hands, I can extend and maintain position with my leg locked underneath his hamstring, or I can build into the rabbit trap. But from here, there's lots of different things that will happen through here, as we talked about. I can attack high and low, trying to get control of this foot. But sometimes I might even be here in this sort of position, and then he starts to bail out. And I have to bail on the idea of attacking and getting close to the leg and think about working into a reversal. Other times I might start a reversal, so I might be here and start to look to get up, and then for whatever reason, Jay starts to heist back up, get a bit higher and put extra pressure on me. If I get here and I feel like I'm going to lose it, rather than going up and losing the position altogether, I can move straight back down and lock everything back up. Again, it's a very strong position. It's just as strong. The strength of the position comes from the same idea as it does when you're standing. That is that double hand grip here. If I've got two hands around his foot here and I'm basically locking the top of his foot off with my tailbone, it's very difficult for him to move around. It's hard for him to move back. If he starts to try and get away, he moves back and slides. He's pretty locked in. Even if I don't have the rabbit trap, it's just my leg here. If you start to move around with your other leg, he can move, he can slide, he can't do a great deal. It's very, very controlling. So there's no rush, no urgency to get here and immediately go, I've got to get up, I've got to get up. You can take your time in this position. You can build from one to another. You can start to lock and change. We can grab his head. We talked about getting up for a Kimura. If he does come forwards here now, I can look to attack his head with guillotines, etc. There's many, many options here, but once I'm here, if something fails, I go back and start again. Okay, there's always that option, whether you go with one hand, whether you're all the way through with two. If I can get back and get control again of the foot with both hands, I can stop and start again. And that's that same principle we talked about right from the start. Repeated attempts. If I can control somebody with a double hand position with real control, that I can sit there and fail over and over again until I break through with the success that we're looking to get. Okay, guys, so we're continuing to make our way through our options that are available to us here. We've already looked at the backside tilting options. We just had a good look at the side emu once we knock somebody down to a hip. Now we're going to switch focus and look at our front side tilt options. Again, said right at the very start, every time we pull someone's foot off balance and put them in that front split position, we have a great opportunity to try and take them from side to side. We're always going to be aiming to go to the back first. That's not just this position, that's everything in jiu-jitsu. If I can get behind my opponent, I've got far better options in terms of controlling and finishing them. But everybody knows that and they're going to react accordingly. So often, if I'm trying very hard to try and get towards the back, it can be difficult to finalise that, and your opponent will start to pressure in the other direction. So we need options to be able to get good results from the front side tilt as well. Okay, so we'll just look at that briefly. Just to start, we'll just have a bit of a review of what we looked at in the first instructional. Once again, just to say that again, I'm here. I'm really going to be working hard to take Jace back. He's going to do everything he can to stop being put on a hip and to stop me being able to come around behind him. So as he does, he'll end up coming forwards. So when that happens, in the first instructional, made a lot of effort on trying to use our weight to drive him down and put him down to a knee. Once I put him to a knee, I can get to this controlling position. And this is a very good position. If I can put him to a knee, it's almost like a bit like a inverted sort of calf slice position. But it's very, very hard for Jace to push back into me here now to do anything. I can easily lift my hip and drive him forward. If he tries to run away from here, I can pinch and hold. I can build to get behind him and then come up and attack his back. His best option is to sort of roll to try and get out. And again, that just gives me the top position. So this is a great position if you can get it. But again, with more experience, a lot of the guys in here have made it very, very hard to get. Okay, so with that in mind, we spoke earlier about the position that a lot of the guys, that especially in the gym here, because I've been doing it to them for a while, have adopted, and that's that defensive jiu-jitsu position. So again, it's one of those things. The annoyance becomes the thing that stimulates the next move, which is really good. We got to a point where guys were doing this to me and sort of stalling things out, and I was like, this is crap. They've found the kryptonite to my move, but it's actually stimulated the next growth of the move, which is one of the reasons for doing the instructional follow-up, the instructional upgrade. So if I get here and Jason adopts that posture where I'm over here and I can't really get to him, okay, from here I can use my legs still to push out and to look at the single leg series, which we'll look at later on, and some upgrades to that as well. But from here, not only can he stall and hang out here and basically wait me out, he can really threaten by coming down and attacking my foot. Okay, so if this is just hanging here in this position, this becomes a real danger. So I can't just leave it hanging here like I can when he's upright and his hands are too far away from my feet. So from here, I need to be looking to be active with his foot, pushing. I can come around and try and hook and turn a little bit as well. But more than anything, this has been something that's created another position where instead of keeping both knees either side, I brought my foot up to hold here and then actually caught it behind the back. Okay, so we call this the Y guard, and we're going to look at this in depth in a moment. So again, just looking at that, the knee to ground options that we did in the first instructional are definitely still available to you, but you've really got to work to get that knee to the ground. It's far more difficult given that they've got that foot in front for base. But with that, leaving your foot there for a potential toe hold is dangerous. So as soon as I get somebody in that front side tilt position now, if I feel I can't immediately come up into a single leg, I'm going to look to get my foot behind into a Y guard, which we're going to investigate more in the next video. Okay, so front side tilt position now. And again, talking about probably the biggest upgrade since the first instructional is the development of the Y guard. So we're going to look at that in more detail now. So if Jason's standing up, in the first instructional, I did look at a thing called the Emu Guard. And again, that was basically starting with my knees here and then switching in and out and getting to this position. This is quite good in terms of if Jace keeps his legs facing forward and I can drive and get some strong pressure. But it's very simple, we discovered, for him to just reach down and lift my leg up. So I can lose the position quite quickly. Okay, so kind of abandoned that. Again, there's a couple of things, as I said at the start of the introduction, there's only a few things that really haven't stood the test of time, but that's one of them. It really hasn't worked like I hoped it would. But thankfully, and again, as we just said before, things develop and some mistakes turn into little pots of gold, and that's what's happened with this, because this Y guard position seems to be far more effective. So from here again, we were just saying before, I'm here, and as I try to tilt to the front, I'm trying to tilt to the back, but it's just not happening because his weight is too far this way. If I stay here, he's going to attack my foot. And again, just with that in mind, just as always a reminder, he can attack my foot. Don't forget, I can attack his head with a kick. So what is a dangerous position in jiu-jitsu is still a very good position for me in a fight. Okay, he can try, if he wants to play toe hold versus head kick, I'll play that game all day. Okay, but with jiu-jitsu, he's going to sit down, he's going to attack that, it's going to be a problem for me. So what we've done is needed a way to maintain enough pressure here. So worked a bunch of different options here, but coming back and just putting my foot in front here is a nice starting point just to make sure he doesn't drive into me here. Now I can still maintain enough pressure to get into the next position. And it was interesting, there was a little video with Espen Matheson on Instagram not long ago where he basically was doing a similar development with the reverse teleheavy position. So it's always nice to have your ideas vindicated by a high level guy. But once we're here, we don't want to stay here. Again, if I stay here, Jason's going to come down and attack that foot. He can pull up and I'll lose the position. But from here, I can now get it behind. Okay, so as soon as I get behind, I can lock this foot underneath here and I'll lock my other foot in a De La Riva style position. And from here, what that allows me to do is make a shape like a Y. Okay, so my legs are going this way and I can see his shin going down that way. So hence the Y guard. So that's the shape that we basically make with our legs. And again, with this, it's very important that this top knee doesn't stay too high. We talked about with the Emu Guard pinching my knees. Once I get here, I want my knees apart. Okay, when the knees are apart, he can go and push and pull on this leg here now, but he can't get rid of it because it's stuck behind. What I can do though is I can drive my shin in at the top of his leg here as well. So once we get the position, if Jace goes to try and drive in towards me, just as before, I can lift my hip up, drive pressure through, slide his foot back, and keep him in a very off-balance position. If he's persistent with this and keeps turning in towards me, yeah, I can actually go and take him back down. Okay, so that sweeping option, that sweeping option is there if the person persists in turning and facing towards us. Okay, but the majority of the time they won't because it's not very comfortable. But the beauty of this position above and beyond anything else is that now when we go for a single leg, both of our legs are already behind our opponent. So as we'll talk about in a moment when we look at our single leg, a lot of issues people had, we spoke about that earlier on, was getting from this position and managing to get up and getting their leg out of the way to get a single leg. We've got a few things to talk about that in the next video, but if I get my legs behind him like I do here, now there's nothing to get in the way. So if I'm here and I manage to move Jace out, put his weight down. When my legs come behind, I can get all the way behind him and I'm completely unimpeded. So now my whole body is behind him and I can look to work single legs, work takedowns and work other things from this position. So again, we talked about it with the backside tilt series. The ultimate goal is to get behind our opponent. So with this one, even though we're tilting him to the front by getting both of our feet behind him, if we can't knock him down with the Y guard sort of sweep that I just demonstrated there before, the more he stays out in that forward position, the easier it is for us to get both of our legs behind and our whole body behind. So what we'll look at now is just a couple of options when we do that. So again, he's in his position. Try and knock him over to the back. He resists and brings his head forward. I can do other things here in a moment, which we'll look at. But for now, if I feel like I'm stuck in this position and I can't drive that knee to the ground, I'm not going to leave my foot hanging here waiting for him to go and grab it. I'm going to put my foot up here as a quick block and then immediately transition to this Y guard position. And again, from here, I lift my hips and I put weight through my opponent. Okay, I never make it comfortable. I never just leave my hips on the ground where he can drive in and turn, and then again, I lose that knee-ankle alignment, everything goes to crap. As soon as I'm here, lifting up, pulling and sliding, making his life miserable, okay? And again, from here now, I'm going to put my legs behind, immediately come up with what I call a pull-down single leg. So I'm here, I come up, I get behind, I'm going to drive my shoulder in behind his knee and immediately pull his foot behind and suck his knee down to the ground. Once I do that, I come up, catch the thighs, drive forwards, knock him down, and then work up to take our position wherever we end up from there. Okay, very, very good way to follow up once we get behind our opponent. Okay, next one. We're here, tipping out, trying to get that knee to the ground. He's not getting there, so I bring my leg up, I hook him behind. Immediately drop my knee down so it's not facing up where he can just come straight around the corner. I drop it down so my shin is in front. I make that Y shape. But I'm really almost making a right angle here as well. So he's driving into my shin, which is now horizontal. Okay, so we drive forward. I come behind, get to this position again. I go to try and drive and pull this out, and he's resisting. So if I feel him resisting as I go forward and I can't suck that foot out, I'm immediately going to come up and work my way up to take a body lock or a single leg or whatever. Again, it's going to be one of those things where as soon as I feel that resistance that that foot's not coming out, I'm immediately hoisting up. I'm already behind him. Okay, working to a high position, whether it's on the leg or on the back. And finally from here, for all the Ryan Hall fans out there, there should be plenty. Yep, again, we're here. I try and knock him down. I get to my position. I keep control here. Sorry, one thing I should have mentioned before. When I am here, when I switch up into this position here, I don't just leave this leg hanging. I push and I hook. So I've got at least that scissoring motion again, where I'm lifting, pushing and pulling before I get my foot behind. Now my foot catches in behind, drop it down into the Y position. We're here from this spot as well. I can come behind. But now if I don't want to wrestle up because I'm old and lazy, I don't know who would be like that, but if you know anybody who is, it's probably a good thing to do. Stay in on the legs. I put my hips underneath, and now I can build up into a 50-50 position and get to work from here. Okay, so Y guard is, again, probably one of the biggest developments that we've made in the last few years, and one which I hope you guys will find works well for you as well. Okay, so we just looked at some good options from the Y guard position. As we're saying, it's one of the real game changers in this instructional from the previous one. We want to just have a bit of a deeper dive, though, in terms of looking at how we can maintain and transition between different positions with this new Y guard. So if Jason's here, we'll just change the angle a tiny bit here. And if we look here, just for the reason why I call it a Y guard, if I'm in this position, once I load up and get in here, my knees basically are flared like this. So I make a Y shape. The Y shape is between his shin going down and my shin's off to the side here. Okay, hence the name. I think it's actually pretty apt, pretty appropriate. So from here though, once we start in our front side tilt position and we move out here, we spoke in the last video about getting here, hooking my foot in so I can still keep moving him, allowing me to slide, maintaining a very uncomfortable stretched out position from here. When I build into the Y guard, again, I want to use that foot scissor motion. So I start here and now I get here and pinch. So I can really load up with quite a bit of weight here. If my hips stay on the ground, he'll drive in towards me. As soon as I lift my hip up, he tries to drive in. He's driving against all my body weight. I can slide his foot. It's actually quite a strong position just to hold in and of itself. But from here, I then switch. Nice quick transition. And now once I'm here, I flare my knees. Okay, so my shin is almost perpendicular to his shin here now, and that allows us to have some good driving pressure, stopping him from being able to come forward. From here, it really depends on what he does with his head position. We looked at the reversal and a few other things in the previous video. We'll just look here if Jace pops over this side. So again, if he drives and keeps his knee facing forward, it gives me a great chance just to knock him straight over. If I can get him stepping further out and his head goes down into that defensive jiu-jitsu position, it gives me a great chance to come up behind with the single leg options that we looked at. But also, we can also use that same idea with our jiu-jitsu. We're always trying to get to the back first. And as we talked about earlier on, if I'm trying to get to the back and he goes in the other direction, that's when we start to work our frontside tilt attacks. Once we're here, again, the more he starts to defend the Y guard, the more he often opens up attacks to the back as well. So if I'm here again, once I have this position, once we're here again, it really depends on where Jace's head is. So if I use my hook and I kick him out to the side, his head stays over here, I can really slide and come through and build up to the other things that we looked at. If I get here though and he brings his head sort of back over his back leg, if he comes back in and drives in with his knee, again, I'm going to drive, push him back in that direction. But when he's more in line with me rather than off to the side here now, it can be hard to get behind and it can be hard to push him back. So if I get to this position, I'm going to now transition my foot back up to the hip. Okay, and so similar to what we did before, I'm going to get here and if I can, I'm going to press on the hip, lift my hip in the air, take my foot and my hands in the other direction and see if I can knock him down. Okay, so often again, when you time that from their head movement as they go from being in a bent over position to a standing position, when you get the timing right with that, you can knock people over straight away. But sometimes you can't, but what that'll do then is offer the back again. So if he stands back up one more time, we're in this position. I get the Y guard, trying to knock him down. He squares up, but if I get here now, and as I go to knock him over, he won't fall. What we have here now is I have an opportunity to bring my leg behind, and now we're in our original baby bolo style attack. So from here, I've got both feet behind. I'm going to lift and pull, drive forward, and now we're attacking the back like we did earlier on in the instruction. So just one more look at that. We're here again. Just in terms of getting the position, I'm always going to be trying to drive him off in this direction. I'm always going to be trying to stretch him out, locking my shallow De La Riva hook in, building into this strong foot scissor position from here where I can slide and keep him at bay, upgrading to my Y guard. Once I'm here, all those options we looked at, knocking him down, going to the side. But if he does start to move his head back and get nice and tall to the point that I can't sweep him or I don't feel comfortable going behind him here now, I can lift up, find that pressure up here, either lift and knock him down or tilt him back enough that I can spot that space where I can come back, insert my long De La Riva hook in, and now I'm back to attacking the back like we did in earlier videos. So that's just having a look at maintaining the position a little bit and also transitioning between the front and the back when the opportunity arises. Okay, continuing with our frontside tilt series. So we just looked at the Y guard, and again, the Y guard in particular, we just said has got some great single leg options. Actually, it's probably my preference now, if I can, is to get both my feet behind and use that to get up and get behind someone to finish any sort of wrestling up situation. But with that said, we still have good options if we do the regular single leg. Had a few issues which we talked about earlier on that people struggle with, so just want to address those, look at a couple of ways you can just vary your attacks if you want to do a more traditional single leg attack, and then also look at a couple of other things just in terms of finishing that we've sort of figured out along the way as well. Okay, so yeah, Jason's back up in his position. I catch the Emu Guard. He knows I want to try and take him to the back position, so he brings his weight forward. So once he's over here, again, I'm going to try and put his knee to the ground. I'm either going to do that if I fail. Like I said, I don't want this foot just hanging around here where he's going to attack it. So I'm going to go behind and get my Y guard. But if I can't do that, or if I want to reverse the position with a single leg, I'm going to immediately look to start to extend and push him away over here. So to do this, one important detail is to make sure I don't just push with this leg, but I also switch this to a short De La Riva hook. Okay, so I start to use my leg to drive forwards as I kick out. So I can really extend him out over here. In the first instructional, we looked at going from this position into the Ricardo Vieira sweep where I just drop and quickly take him back the other way. That was one of the inspirations for this Emu Guard and the reversals that you can do from it. So that's still viable, but from here, if I'm out here and I can't get that knee where I want it just with my knees, I'm going to switch to that short De La Riva hook and then go to extend him all the way out. So once we're here, again, he's in a vulnerable position where that leg, his knee is already well back behind the line of his ankle. So from here, I'm going to use momentum with both of my legs, using that pendulum motion to come up and get nice and in a strong position to be able to look to follow through with a single leg. We looked in the video last time that if I do manage to get here and his knee is in front of, or his knee is behind the ankle, I can immediately keep pressing forward and come up. If he starts to push back into me, I'm going to always try and take him around with that double attack approach. So I make him step once and twice, and then I pop out. A big detail is that when I pop out, I pinch my knees here. There's no good turning up to my knees to wrestle up and have him just take his leg away straight away, and then I've got to chase him from here. So I always want to make sure once I get here, I catch that leg, then I connect, and what have we got? We've got a position where we got his foot trapped at one end, his knee trapped at the other, very reminiscent of our Emu Guard to start with. So from here, once I get here, now I can build up and look to get to a better position. Okay, so that's using a De La Riva style approach, okay, using our De La Riva hook. We can also get here, and again, we can be moving around, and I might find that for whatever reason, he turns back, I'm going to switch and get a reverse De La Riva hook. The beauty of the reverse De La Riva is that when I do it, my hip comes off. So my hip's already off his foot, which means that when I decide to go and come up, it's not in the way. Okay, so I can immediately get up and immediately come up into this position again. So that's another variation that a bunch of guys have employed, rather if they've struggled to come up directly from the Emu Guard into the single leg. One other thing as well we looked at chasing around. I'll just show that again. If I do get the position and I'm coming out here and I bring him forwards and I can't feel like I'm going to bring him far enough to be able to get what I want, I can reverse and come behind and bring him down to reverse the position. That's going through the back door with that motion, with that idea. So we're not wrestling up so much, but bringing him down with a reversal or a sweep. So we can take that same approach though, and we can do it through the front side rather than the back side. Again, I've got to put a shout out to one of my black belts, James Nurka, for this one. So it's his move, so he can claim it. There you go. You're going to be well famous, James. Very good. So we're here. Again, I'm trying to get his knee to the ground. That's not working, so I switch to a short hook here, and now I push out. And so from here now, immediately, rather than even trying to wrestle up, as soon as I come up here now, I'm going to come up, claim his leg, and immediately pull it onto my chest and roll through underneath, through the front side to get a nice reversal. So that's the Nurka roll, until proven otherwise. Very good. Okay, so again, still some good options from the single leg. I find myself still doing those. If the opportunity arises where I can get that straight away if the moment's right. If at any point I feel I'm struggling with that, I'm going to revert back to that Y guard and use that as a safer means to get a single leg by getting our legs behind. But again, have a play around with it, see what works for you. Okay guys, so now we're up to the last in our series of front side tilt attacks. So again, we've looked at if they are in that position, we're going to use a single leg approach. We're going to go behind them with a Y guard if we can get that position as well. But sometimes we can actually go back to our initial attacks where we can knock somebody over toward their back like we did with our first series from our backside attacks. So it's really when they're overcommitted basically with their weight. So if Jay stands up and we get our position, if I look at what we looked at before, if I'm here, I'm trying to put his knee to the ground, but it's not working, so I'm going to then stretch him out using this De La Riva hook to move his weight across and then push forwards. We just said before, if I'm here, I can really take advantage of those single leg opportunities that are there. But from here as well, when he's stretched out in this position, sometimes he'll start to sort of sit up and away a little bit. And if he does, I can bring my foot up over the top and revert straight back to our classic tripod sweep. Again, we're back in our side emu position where we can go on those different attacks that we talked about before, or look to hike back and take the top position. So just your tripod sweep, just another way of setting it up. With that as well, that's using our top foot here to come up and knock him down. But sometimes if I'm here and he keeps his weight bent over, so we're in the position, I try and stretch him out, so I get to this position. So now his weight's too far over this way for me to be able to really knock him down. So if I can't knock his upper body this way, what I'm going to do is try and lift this leg up and take it over here as far as possible, and then use it as a lever to knock his body weight over. Okay, so his body's lined up in a way that's not going to go. If I can take this foot essentially over here, all of a sudden all of his weight's going to be behind him and he'll likely fall. So we're in our position. I've got that short De La Riva hook going. So normally when I lift and pull, I'm really pulling with my, pulling with a classic emu. I'm pushing with my knees and pulling to get a slide. With this one, I'm pulling with my foot as well. So again, it takes that sliding motion to an even stronger degree. So we're not just slipping on ice, we're really falling quickly with it. Okay, so if you come back to the starting point, he's here, I try and tip him down, it's not working, so I stretch him out. Now from here, I plant my weight on this leg. I'm gonna lift and pull with this as I pull my hands. So I lift my hips up and I pull and really launch him from there. Okay, so it's quite call it a swing sweep. It's very strong. When it lands really hard, which is good. But it's that idea of you're not just pulling with your hands, you're pulling with your hands and a foot as well. So when you take everything in that one direction, it's up in the air, and that foot's planted on the other one as a pivot to move around, it works quite well. As with everything though, sometimes it doesn't, and you'll not be able to put him all the way onto his back. But as we said right from the start with our backside tilt series, if I can't put him onto his back, I'm going to at least make him stumble enough that I can get behind him and then build into our double leg baby bowler style position. So again, if we're here, we start in our position. I'm trying to tilt him to take him back. He's not having it, so I'm going to go and tilt over the other direction. He assumes that position where he likes to get kicked in the head. That's fine by me. We've always got the big picture in mind, but I'm going to protect my feet and make sure he doesn't go and try and toe hold me. So from here, if I don't go back behind and get my Y guard, I'm going to immediately get here and try and stretch him out. From here, we can go into our single leg, like we said. Now, if I get here and he kind of knows what's coming, or I try and go for the swing sweep but don't quite get it, if I get here, at least I start to get my hip behind, like we looked at in those first instructionals, basically. From here, I'm going to now catch with my leg, pull him back, and now I'm back into my baby bowler style. Okay, so one more time with that one. Get our position, tilt him forward, not playing, stretching, he's not playing, pushing for whatever reason, not going down, so I'm going to stretch. Again, you see he moves around, catch, and now we get to work with our baby bowler style takedowns. Okay, so very powerful sweep if you can make it work. And again, you've got them stretched out in a very wide front split position, and if you do it, it's if you make it works really, really well. Okay, guys, so look, we're getting towards the end of our instructional here now, so we're going to look at the low emu position. So right from the very start, when we did the closed guard analogy, we looked at that idea of the closed guard being a great position to be able to control our opponents because it was a locked position. With the classic closed guard, when most people open the closed guard, they do it by standing up. So you change your level, stand up, and then it gives you more ability to be able to break those legs open in a more efficient manner. Similarly with this, so for all of the things we've looked at, if Jace is standing up and moving around on one leg, I feel incredibly comfortable that I can control him and stop him from doing whatever he wants to do. The easiest way for him to break out of the position is to actually level change down and break the grip. Okay, so we have a look at that. So he's here. Again, if Jace tries to move backwards from here and pull away, I'm going to hold him all day. If he tries to spin and run, all he does is give his back, and I've got great control here now. So the weak point in the position is if he can go down to a knee and now go and strip the grip. Okay? So what that does though, as soon as he comes down, he no longer has height on me. He's committing himself to the ground, so he's lost all his mobility. And now he's also given me an opportunity to be able to control his hand. So when he's standing up, as we said right from the start, if I'm here with a De La Riva position or whatever else other open guard I'm playing, if I try and grab his hand and control him, it's so easy for him just to move up and strip that grip. I can't maintain control without the sleeve to be able to make this a winning position. I'm always going to lose the grip. Hence why we said we're going to use our hand and come up to here. Once Jace comes down to attack my hand though, that all changes. Okay, if he grabs my hand and breaks the grip, if I catch his hand in here and he goes to pull it back, all of a sudden I can control him from here. So again, I can go into playing other style guards if I want to. Okay, so that's a really important point. The fact that when he defends the position by coming down to break open your hands, that hand's now available to attack things that are available to attack, basically, which they're not when he's standing up. Okay, so I can get an upper body grip and get to work from there. With that said, ideally when he drops down, I know what he's going to try and do. He's going to try and grab and break that hand. So before he does break that grip, I'm going to be moving into my movements and my attack straight away. So if Jace stands up again, as soon as I feel him level change down, I immediately go to pull this leg away. Okay, so the further away it is, the harder it is for him to try and come and catch it. And now I'm going to go and look to do what we did before with our standing single leg option. So I'm going to push his knee away, hook in here with this leg. Okay, and from here now, it's very hard for him to come and grab those hands to break the grip. And he's so stretched out here now with this leg block, it's very easy for me to come and look to wrestle back up again and get a single leg. Okay, so that's one really good option. Similarly, if he comes back down into the position to go and break my hands, I'm going to move away, try and block this leg. Now I can use my back leg as we did when we were standing up, come and get that De La Riva hook in. Okay, so immediately from here, once I have this hook, I'm going to try and bring this one in front. I can turn, put his weight down, pull that leg behind, and then come up the back as we did when we were standing up to build into a strong position to attack from the back. And last but not least, this is a technique I saw one of the Tackett brothers do a while back. Just another variation of that single leg. We might actually switch for this one again, please, Jace. So if we are chasing, we do get to the position where he comes down, and I find that leg and stretch him out, and I'm trying to come around here to chase to get this leg. But as I go behind to try and get it, he keeps circling away. It'll get to that point where it's no point in me circling anymore, but I can come up, heist up, catch his leg, catch the leg here, and now pull my leg out once again to take him down for a nice reversal. Okay, so what's more, his defense is to, sorry mate, pop over there. His best way to get out of the position is to go and break that grip, but as he comes down, he takes away his mobility. He gives me the opportunity now to start to control his upper body. And if I see him come down, if I recognise what's going on, I'm going to immediately stretch that leg out, take it away from him so I can keep control of his foot for as long as possible, and then I can build into a good single leg or a couple of good single leg options, as well as continue my back-taking baby polo style attacks that we did when we were standing up. Okay guys, so now I just want to have a look again. We looked at the common complaints and problems and solutions earlier on, but we want to look at some of the more realistic counters that have sort of come up and into the game over the last couple of years, and good ways to deal with those as well. So first and foremost, we've talked about it quite a bit. We'll have a look at the thread of the toe hold. So if Jace is standing up, so again, always bringing it back to reality. If I'm here and he adopts that position, I'm not going to be staying here waiting for him to go for a toe hold. If we're in a fight and I get him here, I'm going to be trying to kick his lights out. Okay, so we'll look at that in a moment in the next video, but always nice to be reminded of that anytime I want to, I can be here and launch him in the head. If he wants to play handsies and footsies with me there, I'll more than oblige. But if I do get here, and we've spoken about a means of not getting toe hold is to push him out with this foot, put it on here and connect here straight away, or hide it behind here with our Y guard. If I'm too late to do that and he manages to get down and get two hands on my leg, straight away I want to try and turn my foot out. Okay, so don't just be lazy with that foot. I want to immediately try and dorsiflex it, not give him a good strong grip to be able to try and put it on immediately. That'll give me enough time to bring my other leg over. And now if he goes for it, I'm going to push and I can extract that leg. So even if he gets good tension on it there, if I dorsiflex and then push and kick, I should be able to get it out in time. As I said, realistically, I shouldn't be allowing myself to even get there at this point anymore, because if I'm here and things aren't working, I'm going to be extending out or I'm going to be coming and back over this side. But, you know, sometimes it might just be that split second you're there that little bit too long and an opportunistic partner's going to jump on that toe hold. If they do get it, make sure you immediately pull that foot up very quickly and then get that other leg on the lat, pushing and pulling to get that foot back safely. The next big thing that's been effective to a degree is people in the first instruction I said that the main place people will put their hands is on the knees and the feet, and that's true, but a lot of people have started putting pressure directly through the shin in a sort of that sweet spot, just about a hand's width down from the knee, which is a good position to get into, as we know when we're passing the guard, to control the knee and the foot simultaneously. If they get there and they drive strong pressure down through there and I don't respond, they can actually start to break through that knee pinch. So if we're here and I'm in position here, and rather than, if Jace puts his hands on my knees right at the top here, and it starts it doesn't really do a great deal. If he comes down and he puts his hands on my feet, lower down, yeah, again, he's in that position where he brings himself so low, it's actually quite easy to off-balance him. But if he gets in that middle position and he's just coming down from my kneecaps there now, and he drives, this is a bit more effective. Okay, so you can really start to put forward pressure here. If I'm just pinching and he drives in, it will break through. Okay, so what I need to do as soon as I feel that pressure coming in is I lift. So immediately I lift up, drive it together, I lift, and then I pull that foot back. Okay, so again, once I'm here, I don't allow him to do that again. Once he's driven in and I come back up, I'm immediately off balancing, moving to another position, etc. Okay, so making sure you're going up before you're pulling the leg back to be able to regain that knee-ankle alignment. It's super important. One of the other big things that people talk about is people backstepping around that deep De La Riva hook. Again, with that, if you just make the comparison, we did that at the start. If I've got just a regular De La Riva grip with this hand here and I kind of bring my leg across here to go and attack, you see a lot of people coming up here and, trying to off-balance, sometimes coming up and off-balancing here. Anytime Jason wants from here, he can just turn and run. So if he just turns and runs, I'm going to lose everything. Okay, so with only one grip, I can't really maintain any control of him if he doesn't want to be there. But if he does manage to backstep here, he can come over my knee and drop down, and now he can get a good controlling position over here. Okay, so from here, this can be tough. This position is a good position on top. He can attack my legs. If I do get a hand inside, it'll make it a lot better. But this hand's kind of missed the opportunity that we'll get if we had the Emu Guard there. So Jace goes back up. Demonstrating his weight there. That's good. Excellent. Thanks for that. That's good. So now, again, same thing. If I get the deep De La Riva hook and he goes to try and run and turn and run, he can't because I've got two hands there, but also I'm blocking his ability to turn his toe. So from here as well, if he tries to backstep from this position, it's quite hard because his toe is controlled by both of my hands are controlling his foot, but his toe is locked in position there. He almost busts his own knee by doing that. If I get lazy here and he does manage to come around and he goes over and he sits again, as he sits, I've got one hand inside, but I've also got this one already in position. So I can switch from here to being down onto his foot. And now from this position, I can comfortably use 1, 2, 3 things to drive his weight forward and get him off me. Okay, so again, basically just changing the game so I get an extra weapon to help me basically win the position that otherwise I would lose if I didn't have control there. And the last thing, which is effective as well, and I was very lucky we had Ash Williams here for a seminar a year or two ago, whatever it was now, and I got to play a bit of Emu Guard on him when he didn't know what was going on and managed to hold the position for quite a while, which was pretty good for this old man against a young buck. But when he did get past, he opened his knee up out to the side and basically came through. And so that got me thinking good ways to make sure I can counter that as well. So with that in mind, so we'll just work this way a bit actually, this one. So if we're here, if Jace is here, if he drives in and maintains pressure and then turns out quickly, exactly. If he gets through here, he can then level change down and he can be on me and he can get past my knee pinch. So I need to recognise that as well. So, and I do that. We looked at the sweep originally where I extended my leg and I caught his hamstring to knock him down. Similarly here, if I feel any time he turns that knee out, I can lift my leg. So if I lift my leg, I can sort of stop it before it starts. So that's good. So if I get to a spot though where he's a little bit ahead of that and I miss the chance, I put my knee behind. And now everything comes back and I move through in a deep half guard style reversal, so getting behind my opponent. And last one, if I'm super late and I miss everything, then I need to bail and get on to the next thing. So if we are here and he turns all the way out and comes in, he starts the level change down, I'm going to immediately switch over this side and start to come up and try and reap through to get an attack on the opposite leg. So again, just a few of the counters that people have been doing with some success earlier and some good solutions to be able to try and shut that down to maintain the integrity of the position. Okay, guys, so that's it. We've looked at the backside tilt situation, we've looked at the front side tilt, we've looked at the side emu, and we've looked at the low emu. So basically gone through all the different variables. We've looked at counters. Again, I just wanted to quickly just review again things from an MMA perspective. As I said from the start, that's been the main focus of why I've spent so much time developing this position, and it's really the focus of how I approach jiu-jitsu when I teach it as well. Jiu-jitsu is a big, broad church. There's lots of different ways of approaching it. There's the gi, no-gi game. Everybody loves to talk about the differences between those two, but the difference between no-gi jiu-jitsu and jiu-jitsu for MMA or real fighting is as stark as the other. So we like to really focus on those positions that you can use across all those different games, and ones in particular that are going to give you the best advantage when we go into a real-life fight situation in an MMA perspective. But people always talk about self-defense scenarios as well. You want to be able to look after yourself should you be unlucky enough to be in a bad spot with a bad person. With that in mind, just a very quick review and final chat about why we do what we do and why we're thinking about this position being effective in an MMA scenario. You hear people talk about inside position all the time, inside guards. So that's essentially if I'm here with Jace, anytime I get my legs in between Jace's legs. So if Jace is on his knees, sorry for a moment, classic one of these is a butterfly guard. If I get my feet in between here, this is fantastic. I can do a lot of good work. If he does manage to stand up from here, anytime I can get my body underneath him, I can get into single X positions, I can get into X guard positions, we can get into all sorts of variations of those guards. The issue with that as to why they're not effective or you don't see them as often in MMA is that I've got to get my hips all the way underneath my partner to be able to make that work. We're already starting from further away in MMA because of the striking distance. So to get from a striking range all the way through the wrestling range to be able to get underneath and get into one of those positions is very, very difficult. A few people have been able to do it. Again, Damian Meyer made it work relatively well, incorporating wrestling into getting underneath people to be able to reverse them. Gary Tonnen has done it a few times as well with some success, but realistically it's a very, very difficult way to try and ply a trade. Whereas if somebody is further away, you can incorporate outside guard, it's going to be more effective. And so that's why I really delved so deeply into this position. So with that in mind, we just quickly review again. If Jace is upright, as we said, and he's away from me at a distance and I'm on the ground, and sorry, one final thing with that as well is that in modern MMA, everybody talks about getting back to your feet, back to your feet, back to your feet. But if you're a grappler and you go up against a high-level striker, the last thing you want to do is go back to your feet. Okay, if you go back to your feet, you're going to lose because they're going to outstrike you and you're not going to win the situation. So it's become such a big thing in the UFC and in modern MMA that people have forgotten that being able to fight off your back effectively and being able to win from there is something that should be a high priority. And so from here, I want to be able to make sure I can stay here if I want to stay here rather than being called up. So I want to make sure I'm attacking. If I'm attacking, I want to be springing myself in this position, as we said, so that I can actually do some damage and not just sitting here throwing these little baby shots and not doing anything. I want to be in a position where I can, if he comes to me, he's going to eat a very powerful kick to the body. He's going to pay a price for that. If he does keep pressuring and come in, as we said, I want to make sure I don't just offer him my legs where he can throw side to side and beat me. I want to have a long lower leg and a short high leg. And from here, I can use that to build up. So this is the big thing, though, from here. We looked at those entries earlier on. If I'm going to do this in an MMA setting, I'm going to do it with enough pressure to hopefully put a knee bar on straight away. Okay, so when we do it here with our training partners, we're lifting up and we're basically being gentle with this. But if I want to, I can lift up and I can really drive some weight through this. So if I catch this position and he's coming in, as soon as that foot's there, if I jump into this, I'm jumping in and I am driving and pulling as hard as I can, hopefully with the intention of damaging his knee, okay? And from there, then basically going to work from here. So with that in mind as well, we talk about the different things.
I need to be able to keep that knee alignment so that Jace, if he does go to try and punch me from here, he's going to struggle to get close enough to do it. Okay, and as soon as he does do that, he's going to persist. I can off-balance him. He goes again. Yeah, he goes again. I can slide him and make him move. All the different things we've looked at during the instruction. What I want to also do, though, before when we were getting him, we were pushing, I want to be kicking him. Okay, I want to take the opportunity to kick him as hard as I can in the leg. I want to take the opportunity to kick him as hard as I can in the body. There's a liver shot there. That's just money. Yeah. If he does manage to bring his hand down and start to try and punch, again, if he grabs me from here, that's okay. He grabbed me from there, yeah, good. I'm going to off-balance you. I'm going to kick you. I'm going to kick you. I'm going to be kicking, going back to the position. Kicking, going back to the position. Off-balancing, wrestling up if I want to. Off-balancing, trying to take you behind if I can. Take the back. Okay? So it's not a means of just being here passively holding this with my knees, and that's all I do. The thing that doesn't move is my hands. That's what makes it effective. Other than that, it's a very mobile position with my legs pushing, pulling, twisting, turning, but effectively kicking is the number one thing. And as I always say, if we get to the situation where he does want to really start coming in and punching me, I'm going to take those odds all day. He can punch me with two hands. I'm going to kick him with one shot. If I land that shot, it's going to be all over. So, with that said, thank you again for watching. Really appreciate you taking the time and investing your time basically in seeing what we've talked about. If you want to follow more of what we have available, we've got a YouTube channel called Dangles Jiu-Jitsu. Again, Dangles is an acronym for distance, angle, level, and spin. So we're trying to look at Jiu-Jitsu through the lens of those four main directions of movement. And again, we'll be putting up loads and loads of material in the coming months and years, hopefully, basically looking at our perspective on Jiu-Jitsu. And again, with that focus on MMA in particular, but delving into Jiu-Jitsu and Gi Jiu-Jitsu for the fun of it as well. But once again, thanks to Jace for being great uki, and thank you, Simon, for fantastic photography work. Yep. All right. Okay, guys. See you next time.
Okay guys, just wanted to look at some footage of some high-level instances where people have almost used the Emu Guard without even realising it, and opportunities where they would have benefited from being able to use it. So first up we have Nicky Rod against Felipe Andrew in the recent CJI final. And obviously Felipe Andrew known for his close guard and triangle game, so immediately Nicky tries to get back to his feet and look to step away, and Felipe straight away grabbing a hold with his right hand on that left foot and looking with his left hand to try and grab the other leg and build into a back sweep situation. So then he gets his De La Riva, and now he's in a perfect position to build into an Emu Guard. Okay, if he were to lift his hips up there and go and connect, he'd have great control over Nicky Rod and then start to be able to get to work to play whatever game he wanted to. As is the case, is what happens with a regular De La Riva. He immediately tries to go and free his foot. And you see Felipe actually build them with his hand in between his legs to get a double grip onto Nicky's foot. And he actually controls him quite well. Brings his foot back down. He starts to escape again. He gets a foot and a calf grip there. Changes and transfers that to another double leg grip. And again, it forces Nicky to come and drop back down and avoid his standing position. So a great example of an almost Emu Guard there, and an opportunity where he probably would have benefited from being able to do that. Next up we have Kaynan Duarte, one of the all-time greats, multiple ADCC champs and really well known for his top pressure and top posture and base. Here he is against Isaac Michel and posturing forward with his head over his hips, right in front, controlling both the ankles there. Isaac builds into an R-guard sweep here, and again, this is great. Again, he's using the opportunity to go and try and off-balance, and he actually gets a little off-balance here, pushes him off to the left. The problem with that, again, in terms of a guard that we've talked about, is that from there, he'd be able to just smack him in the head anytime he wanted to, so that's not really applicable for what we're looking for. But Isaac immediately follows up and essentially almost gets an Emu Guard style position there. He's got his feet crossed to be able to be uncrossing his feet and pinching his knees and using that lazy right hand to go and control there. He'd be able to slide his foot, get a really strong off balance, put Kaynan into the front split position and be able to go to work to be able to try and build into a strong attack. As it stands, he's, again, he builds his base back down. He goes for that initial sweep, looks to off balance again to the right, And again, he's another opportunity there where as his hips are high and his knees are building, he could go back and reattach with both hands there and build into a strong Emu Guard position. Now we have Ash Williams fighting Baby Shark in the ADCC a few years back. We had Ash in the gym to do a seminar a couple of years ago. Great guy, fantastic athlete. And I was able to play a bit of Emu Guard on him and frustrate him quite a bit, which was great for me to see how effective it was. And from here again, he builds, and you can see he's actually holding a frame there with his left hand and stopping Diogo on top from being able to bring his weight in. But he's in a perfect position there where he could be imposing his own weight by lifting up and grabbing with two hands, starting to slide the foot. Without doing that, there's lack of control there, and you'll see pretty quickly that it's very easy for him to go and knee cut there. And again, the attachments are lost, the guard needs to be reset, and now his opponent is on top there moving around with full mobility in all directions. So a really great opportunity to control a really dangerous opponent missed. Next we have a couple of the most dynamic guys in the game, Mika Galvao and Tai Rutolo. And again, I just wanted to show this particular clip because we spoke about it throughout the instructional. Again, that idea of a multi-limb attachment. So here he has a multi-limb attachment. He has all four limbs attached to the one leg there. But again, he's not able to project any weight onto Ty's leg here to off-balance him in any way. And also, he's not in any position from here where he could actually use his legs to strike the person on top. Ty obviously taking the opportunity here to smother the opponent below, just letting him know how well balanced he is. And obviously, the fact that he can touch him in the face means that in a real scenario he could be able to punch him in the face. So multi-limb attachment is one of the hallmarks, I think, of the Emu Guard that separates it from De La Riva and from other guards, especially in a no-gi context when you can't use the gi to grip and hold on. But this is a perfect example of a no-gi guard that doesn't really cut the mustard in terms of being effective in a fighting situation. Now we look at an effective guard in a fighting situation. Here we have Francisco Trinaldo, and again he's using his foot here on his opponent's knee, and again that's basically optimizing the distance management. His head is so far away from any potential strikes here, which is fantastic, but he's optimizing that distance management, but he has very little attachment and connection to his opponent, so his opponent can move back, and as he did there, then move back in and get closer. The kicking threat, once again, forces his opponent into an upright posture, and he's got a great opportunity here. He could use his left hand to go and grab onto his opponent's foot and then build into an Emu Guard from here. Instead, he continues to work his axe kick attacks, which again, fantastic for that particular approach. But from here, great distance management, but now no connection. His opponent's easily able to turn the corner, come around and start to strike him. So a good opportunity to build into an Emu Guard there if you wanted to. I would always advocate for that because you have more control while you can still strike from underneath. But the other aspect here, you can see wrestling up, which is the biggest thing that's in vogue in MMA now, is not without its risks as well. You can wrestle up and be straight in a choke a minute or two later. Here, once again, just looking at that head-first posture in an MMA context. So most people, when they're passing a no-gi guard, will come in head-first, hands going to the feet. It's just not applicable at all when somebody from underneath can actually use their up kicks. You're not going to be able to control their feet, and you're bringing their head right into that strike zone where you're going to run the risk of getting knocked out. And again, we talk about controlled up kicks. That's like an uncontrolled situation there. But even an uncontrolled kick, if it lands, it's going to be to punch all day. If we can work to build control with more control with an Emu Guard, we're going to have far more opportunity to be able to win and control our opponent from there. Here you see O'Malley kicking up, just missing a kick. This is right towards the end of the fight. So again, everything I say is with a grain of salt. Obviously, they're nearly 25 minutes into a World Championship bout. But here you see O'Malley using fantastic distance control with his knee there. His hips are off the ground, so he's outside that punch range. He's got that threat of the up kick coming the whole time. And again, maintaining safety and being in a position where he can work to build from there. But now he gets control of the foot. Again, Merab coming in there in that upright posture. He's got minimal connection just with his left hand and left shin there. It'd be a great chance for him here to build in, start to impose his weight and project his weight onto Merab and build into a position where you can control the foot, slide the foot off balance, and then stomp kicked with your up kicks to be able to really get some offense off. Here again, we spoke earlier in the MMA section talking about knee planking as a way to build into Emu Guard, and you see Holly Holm here. Again, under pressure against a very powerful grappler. She gets that knee plank basically lifting up here, and you'll see her do it again. And from there you can see there's no ability for the person on top while to touch Holly's head at this point while she can maintain that. From here, you can build into an Emu Guard. Obviously, she's stuck up against the fence, which makes it difficult. Probably a better opportunity to build into a K Guard from there, get underneath and get away from that position where the person's over the top with that punching ability. And finally here, we just have a look. This is Espen Matheson. Again, he's just demonstrating all the different ways that we spoke about in the initial instructional as to why, your reverse De La Riva, having your foot on the hip there to try and impose some weight and push the person away, has huge risks in terms of them putting themselves in a position to off-balance you or attack that foot. And he's got here a modified foot scissor. So it's the opposite of what we show from the Emu Guard. I'm doing it with an outside foot, De La Riva style, with both feet on the other side there. But again, just that idea of being able to transfer weight is what we wanted to do from underneath, which a lot of those guards can't. Again, this would be better with both hands joined, so you would have the ability to be able to slide as well as push, which we speak about in the video. But yeah, this is just another example of showing all these aspects throughout different parts of the game where people are all but playing the Emu Guard. They're almost doing the same thing. So from my perspective, I hope this gets out there so people can start doing the real thing and having great benefits from it. Okay, just finishing up with a little bit of rolling footage here, just showing you the Emu Guard in action. Some of these clips are from a few years ago, actually before our first instructional. You can see here the top player taking the inside foot position, classic passing strategy, but it allows me to build straight into that classic backside tilt sweep. And then you'll see here, following up with a more recent addition here, I'll go through a De La Riva, reverse De La Riva style entry into the position where you can see that right foot extended in through the back. So that extended leg, as we talked about, just gives you that little bit more control, a little bit more leverage to be able to knock them down to a hip, and then follow through with the leg game here to play. Again, here I'm in that shell guard position to start with, and our opponent on top there controlling that top leg. Anytime they do that, it's very easy just to circle our leg inside on the bicep there to get a good purchase on their upper body. He'll step in here. Again, I go through another reverse De La Riva style entry to get into the Emu Guard, and again, pretty quickly extending that leg, knocking over, looking to heist up and take the top position. Now there's a bunch of clips against a younger, faster, more athletic, and definitely more flexible opponent. And again, he makes life very difficult just to catch onto his leg to start with. But once we get there, again, I'm able to get him into that front split position with a good pull and plank. And again, he puts his hand down. Once that hand goes down to the ground, as we said, whenever they're low, I can still switch up and use my hands to control his hands. Here again on top, another good controlling position. Again, he's very flexible. So even as I go and really stretch him out here, he maintains his balance. But again, we're in no threat here. My head's far enough. It's further away than the outstretched hand from the top. And again, as he gets low, I get to control that hand. Only controlling his foot with the one hand at this point. He gets back up and repositions, so I go back to the double Emu grip. This one in particular is interesting, just to show something that we've tried in the last couple of years, which didn't really work. And that's switching from a classic double grip here as they turn their foot to try and go to a heel and toe grip. So I experimented quite a bit with this, had some initial success, but eventually abandoned it because it just wasn't a stronger grip. Here you can see that classic Ryan Hall principle, when he does extract his leg, there's always something left behind and we get to chase it up. One more time here, just really demonstrating again that shell guard, long, low leg and high, short leg. But again, just with that lateral movement there, classic sort of side-to-side strategy, trying to outflank. As soon as we grab a hold of that leg, that strategy is gone. So his mobility is severely compromised. Again, look at that flexible, stretched out position there. But even from here, I'm in zero danger of being passed, zero danger of taking any damage in a fighting context, and I can maintain control and have repeated attempts. So he comes up, he changes his posture again, I go and knock him off balance. And this continues a couple more times until finally, again, going from the front side to the back side, we manage to get the top position. Once again here, a bit of older footage, but again, building in, just showing the front side tilt game. And again, this is one of those things we spoke about that we've really not so much abandoned, but just it's more difficult to get against experienced opponents. But if I can get that knee to the ground to the front side, you can build up and reverse very effectively. There's probably a better example of it here. A lot of times, though, players in my gym, at least now, are pretty wary of it, and they make it very difficult to get that knee to the ground. But as I said during the instructional, it's really stimulated the Y guard to come into vogue. And again, that's a really great way of building from there if you can't get their knee to the ground. Here again, I think we build into another strong position. And here again, looking at a really powerful foot slide. So you see his foot slides back probably about a foot in distance, forcing him to turn, giving us a chance to win the inside position from the back there, get our legs inside and start to play whatever game our opponent allows us to do based on what their reaction is. Here again, going low, he goes down to a low emu. I get that bottom leg, extend that knee out and disturb his base, knock him over, so we end up in a side emu. Again, this is a newer, younger guy who really desperately tries to get his leg free here, trying all sorts of different things, pushing down on my leg, trying to change direction. But again, with that double grip hold there and with the extended inside leg there, very hard to get away. Again, building once more into that position. This is a more experienced guy in the gym, and I'm extending his leg out there, and he's seen this before, and so manages to find a decent strategy to build a long base out there. Again, wherever we're here though, I can always go back, reclaim that foot, and again from this position you'll see me do a very powerful slide from the outside to the inside there to come and knock him over and reclaim a modified side emu position. So I still have to do the work of building my bottom leg back inside here. Again, he sort of blocks that, and then we just go and take the top position. One more time, down nice and low, but this time building in for our long De La Riva hook. That's it, getting inside, looking to get behind with both feet. And from here again, as we looked at throughout the instructional, plenty of good options. I could quite easily just hoist up to my feet here just to take the top position. Lots of good options. And again, one more time, in through here again, but this time we catch the rabbit trap from the side emu. So the rabbit trap again, one of those innovations that's really changed the game. For the guy underneath here, I get extra control of that other leg. So I've got 2 hands on one foot and 2 feet on the other, giving us really great control on the ground. But just a few final thoughts before we wrap up. And so as I mentioned earlier throughout the instructional, modern jiu-jitsu and grappling is constantly evolving, and new positions and transitions are always being developed. If you take a look back at competition footage from the 90s and the early 2000s, you'll really struggle to find examples of the many now common innovations like Berimbolo, 50-50, Choi Bar, Z-Lock, False Reap, Aoki Lock, Buggy Choke. The list goes on and on. Similarly, things like Funk Wrestling and Mongolian Judo have only really emerged in recent decades. I recall John Danaher telling a story many years ago on an early BJJ Fanatics podcast with Bernardo Faria, querying if even something as ubiquitous as the triangle was a fairly new innovation in grappling. I mention all this just to highlight that while understanding the traditional set of high percentage fundamental moves is essential in anyone's development, there's also immense value in novelty and creativity. And so while grabbing a foot with 2 hands from the open guard seems pretty obvious once you do it, I haven't actually seen anyone do it consistently elsewhere before, so I'm convinced Emu Guard is a new innovation worth pursuing. High percentage moves very quickly develop high percentage defences, so any legitimate innovation can offer a huge advantage until proper defences have been developed. And we've seen this multiple times over the years with the likes of the Mendez and the Meow brothers dominating in the early days of the Berimbolo, Ryan Hall with his 50-50 game in MMA, and the Danaher Death Squad leg locking system in modern no-gi grappling. Hopefully you've already watched the Almost Emu Guard clip prior to this one and are now more than convinced that while there's even been fleeting glimpses of similar positions at the highest level, Emu Guard really is its own unique position for fighting and grappling. And I hope this instructional helps you dominate training partners and competitors like never before. If you want more information on seminars and other upcoming instructionals, please contact the Dangles YouTube channel or by private message on the SBG Australia Insta page. All the best.